Screen starts with an earthquake. Birds and snakes and airplanes. Lenny Bruce is not afraid. Battery. That's an interesting song. Okay, so it's great. It starts with an earthquake. Bird, snakes, an airplane. Lenny Bruce is not afraid. I have a hurricane. Listen to yourself churn. World serves its own needs. Don't misserve your own needs. Speed it up a notch. Speed, grunt, no strength. The ladder starts to clatter with fear of height, down height. Wire in a fire, representing 7 games. In a government for hire and a combat site. Left of west and coming in a hurry is China, with the furries breathing down your neck. Team by team, reporters baffled. Trump, tethered crop, 10th. Look at that low plane. Fine, then. Overflow, population, common food. But it'll do. Save yourself, serve yourself, he says. World serves its own needs. Listen to your heart bleed. Tell me with the rapture and the reverent in the right. You vitriolic, patriotic, slam fight, bright light, feeling pretty psyched. It's the end of the world as we know it. And he feels fine. 6 o'clock. That's the story of Ramfan trying to use the material to bind the 5 dimensions. It's never going to happen. 6 o'clock TV hour. Don't get caught in foreign tower. Slash and burn return. Listen to yourself churn. Lock 'em in uniform and book burning, bloodletting. Every motive escalate. Automotive incinerate. Light a candle, light a votive. Step down. Watch a heel crush. Jacob. This means no fear. Cavalier. A tournament of lies. Offer me solutions, offer me alternatives, and I decline. It's the end of the world. Oh man, the other night I tripped a nice continental drift divide. Mountains sit in a line that divides. Leonard Bernstein. Leonard means the beaten and extracted lion. Bernstein is literally son or house of the divided city, or even the son of the humiliated, impoverished city that gives its testimony, but it's also divided, so you got red and blue. It's really weird how even that Leonard Bernstein has to do with dividing after he mentions dividing. Leonid Brezhnev, Lenny Bruce, and Lester Bangs. Birthday party, cheesecake, jelly beans, boom. I don't know if jelly beans has to do with Reagan. You symbiotic, patriotic slam, but neck? Right. Some of these, I don't know if it's not saying the actual lyrics or if these are just really weird and cryptic. It's time I had some time alone. Isn't that weird? That's a weird song. Trump, tethered. Okay, so let me I'll put this away. It's gonna distract me. So here's my notes. We left off on Mises. So Mises here is, let me pull up the thing so you guys can see it. And there we go. The root mush, nush. Nasham meaning to breathe. Think about these things. So they're controlling your breath. What controls your breath according to old Germanic medicine? Fear. Fear constricts your breathing. What is Fiarun? Pharaoh, Fiarun, fear, far, Lord Farquad. It's right out in the open all the time. And let's see. So NASA, we already went through a lot of this in a previous episode, but let's like lifting up, carrying. So maybe Egypt had an uplifting message like Americanism, and what is carried about? They're busy. They have probably traffic that brings a lot of food to a lot of people. This is how Egypt, through Ramses, controlled everything, and what grew in the midst of it, the children of Israel, and they had to be extracted out of there. And the more the bad held on to the good, because it can't produce itself, it has no reproduction. It was literally taking Israel out of Egypt was castrating Egypt. Again, because remember, Osiris is supposed to be Egypt. He was chopped into 12 pieces, compartmentalized, but he didn't have the procreative power. He lost literally his justice, his daiki. Daiki means it means justice. It's like Van Dyke. I think I went over that too. Let me put the chat where I can see it just in case somebody says something. Nope, it's empty. Okay, Nasai, meaning mist or vapor. So that can be a veil, broad load or burden. This is all international trade. Utterance of an oracle. So they have oracles like QAnon or whatever the oracle is at the time, or the QAnon shaman, whatever it is. Mass, meaning lifting up. Interesting, because Catholics celebrate a mass. Okay, Masa, literally uplifted. He's in the clouds. Mesho, meaning ruin or desolation. Remember, this all has to do with Moses and the 10 plagues and all kinds of stuff. Connects to everything. Connects to NASA. I'm just not going to do too much on this because I already went over this verb. Maset. All nuances of apparent verb. Uprising of smoke. Could be uplifting of hands. So uplifting, utterance, oracle. So there are all kinds of things that have to prop up the system and praise it because it's horribly flawed, but because it gets goods and pleasures and food out, that's why people become dependent on it, and then they worship it in order to get their dole of food. Sai, meaning loftiness or pride. Funny, psyop. The lofty pride of men shall be brought low. Yahweh alone will be exalted in that day. It talks about Egypt, witnessing all the nations join it in the world below, and God proclaiming that he is the one who brings terror in the land of the living, and he brings the terrorizers to the land of the dead. Se'et means dignity, swelling or outburst, rising up, and shet means ruin or devastation. Like I went over this. Shet. It's not a coincidence. But literally, set is a swelling or outburst or a rising up of indignation, but it's probably misplaced because remember well, I mean, it could have originally been something that was good. I don't know, but it seems like they literally got people to worship the devil, and then the other half worshiping wisdom. Kind of sounds like America. There's literally the people who control NASA and stuff. They're either Satanists or they're either a Set or a Horus. They're either literal Satanists or they're some kind of Horus character. A Kabbalist would be a Horus character. Swelling or outburst. ruin or devastation. You could say it's implying that a swelling or outburst would bring ruin or devastation because they control riots. Riot is riot control, maybe. Lend on interest is the banking system. But remember, this has to do with Moses and everything too. So basically, Ra-Meses is an anti-Moses. Ra can be a setting sun or to fall upon, and then Meses to draw out. So Ramses was somebody who fell upon and draw out slaves. He also compartmentalized it. I don't think, did I read that part? In the Ra part, there's one that has to do with compartmentalizing. Oh yeah, because it's the fracture into different sections. So you also compartmentalize. This is all American. This is all Roman. This is all Egyptian. This is all Roman Empire, Habsburg, Charlemagne and all that. From Charlemagne to Trump, it's all just Egypt. Nashak means to bite. You bitten me, heavens, why? You know my bite is poisonous and now I'm going to die. I hope this doesn't age badly. Okay, Nashak to bite. Neshek means interest or usury. So usury is like above 3% interest. There's a healthy amount of interest that if somebody is wealthy and they have a lot of money, they worked for that, they loan it out, they're doing a service. There should be something. But then there'd probably be good to have incentives for anybody. The lower you put your interest, the more government incentives you get. That would be a good thing. But anyway, these people, they control people through usury, and throughout their whole system, Egypt, Rome, the supposed Holy Roman Empire, and Britain and America, it's all about like 30% interest, 40, crazy things like that, and just enslaving people that way. So that's also how Ramses built his empire. And this is the Hebrew language, literally just exposing the entire thing. This is multidimensional. This doesn't make sense according to what we're brought up on in America. Masha, lending on interest. See, this is Messiah. What is Messiah doing? He's making an investment with what he did on Golgotha. You understand? The hill of the skull. What's on top of the skull? The crown. Do you understand what he did? You can't deny it. To deny it is just denying this whole language connections and everything. It's all connected. That's why you can't corrupt it. It's incorruptible. Masha is lending on a loan. So remember, God wants his due, and Messiah is basically the one who goes and claims it. He can either be the one who rewards you for your good work or the bounty hunter. All right. Means to beguile or deceive, Nasha. So they probably had a priesthood that talked about all the stars and the planets and everything and how we can all launch off into space. And this was thousands of years ago. And they beguiled and deceived people with that. Masha'on is usually once, is usually translated with guile. And even in Mashaya, this could be how what he did is a stumbling block. Remember, it's a stumbling block to Gentiles, and it's a stumbling block to Israelites, and it's a foolish thing to Gentiles. It's a stumbling block. And God prophesied about that stumbling block. So I'm going to put a stumbling block in Jerusalem. And everybody's going to be tested based on it. Because the hearer usually doesn't have to go through that. But it's like they failed to remember the part where the Most High raised him from the dead. And this is all dimensional speaking. This is what he had to do, these dimensional things. And it was procreative. It literally mirrors procreation, what procreation is doing dimensionally. Literally procreation, you're pulling from the first up to the second to the third with the process of procreation. That's why a man sticks out and a woman is the opposite. You literally, it's supposed to be a shadow of raising the dead. You see what I mean? Procreative energy literally raises the dead. That's why in the Bible, true procreation, true knowledge, all this stuff I'm telling you, that's procreation. The opposite is death. Death shall be their shepherd. The setting sun is their shepherd. Rameses. You understand? Um, so Nasha means to lend or become a creditor. National debt, all kinds of stuff. Debt. So debt is how they control people in Egypt. Judeo-Christian values. It's funny. Masha, see below. Let's see. Nasha means to forget. How many people just forget things that happened like a week ago? That's how it was in Egypt. That's how it was in Rome. That's how it was in the Catholic Empire. That's how it was in England. That's how it is in America. Do you understand? Amorica, the nation of speakers, literally the nation of Babylon, literally the land of the plumed serpent. That's why the natives wore the headdress. They were the plumed serpent. They learned it from their Egyptian slave masters before the Exodus, and afterwards they were free to do their own thing, and they just repeated what they were taught. Who knew? Yeah. Okay, Sakara. Nasha, don't such different ideas. Nisha is forgetfulness or oblivion. That's literally the. I mean, watch the movie Oblivion. That's an interesting movie. When it comes to this, you can compare it to certain things. It's how you can. Literally, Tom Cruise's character is supposed to be the Word of God, and but they have this weird thing where they have clones and stuff. It's weird, but he's supposed to be the Word of God, and the Word of God did a defeat that's supposed to be Messiah, a defeat of the enemies, but he died in the process. But he was resurrected because he was made into clones that did opposite of what the original one did. That's Antichrist. Literally, watch the movie Oblivion. It's about Antichrist. Whether you like Tom Cruise or not, it's a very great storyline. Most likely a Shemitic storyline. And it's good. It's good. It's good if Semitic people own Hollywood. Now China owns Hollywood, and movies just aren't great anymore. Unless they're based off of books, usually written by Semites. It's not a genetic thing either. It's an ideology that was reached by an ancestor, and that's it. It has nothing to do with if a person has a certain genetics, they can't reach something. Everybody can reach the same dimensional planes. Everybody is equal in that respect. But not everybody is going to work as hard as the other. And so that genetically does something to your children, no matter what your color they are. These people don't get it. That's why America is the way it is, because they all raise their children according to the way America told them to. And now they don't like what most of the children have turned into. It's like, and then they think it's not their fault. It's weird. I don't know what it is, but it controlled the whole world in Egypt, and it's been trying to do the same thing over and over. It's probably the Scarlet Beast. It was, is not, is coming again. You see? It's Egypt. It's Samaria. It's Egypt. It's Rome. It's Britain. It's America. It was. It is not. But somehow it's rising up again. Now, Messiah is supposed to be the one who was, is, and is to come. So that system is going to continually rise up. The system of Moses, the Moses type system, the Messiah Moses type system is going to keep rising up, but it is. The Egyptian Babylonian Luciferian cycle is going to keep rising up, but it is not. Do you understand? And this should give you confidence. Just me, or is the sound a bit low? Oh, the sound's always kind of different. It depends on how far I am from the mic and all that. I'll try to balance the sound good. because I can see it on the side of the screen, so I can see if it's hitting green, red, yellow, or red. Part of the nasha. Masha means to draw, to draw people to something, a singular message, a singular destiny, patriotism. Are you unpatriotic? Drawing out who? The system draws out people like me or others, and then they get information, but you're not supposed to have fear. Fearun can do nothing to Yahovah. Fearun is just fear. Yahovah is literally the expression of all learning and wisdom from God, from the Most High. Curiously enough, Moses drawn out of the Nile. Okay, so we're related to Zion, Shea, Moses, Massa, Masada, Mass, Christmas, draw out Christ. Christmas is actually probably to draw out people who want to celebrate certain things. Not that I condone the whole thing of Christmas. I'm saying Mass is to draw out. Why do they even have Mass? To see who comes to church. Even if they're hypocrites, just coming to church is something that needs to be kept an eye on. Ion, energy. Where consciousness flows, energy goes, or something, where it's like where attention flows, energy goes. Manasseh is causes to forget, and that's specifically forgetting affliction, and then another case it's forgetting God. So making their people really forgetful and making their people forget God is how they get power. And Ishaya is probably just man of life, it sounds like. It actually sounds like Messiah, because Messiah said that the Most High has given him authority, that the Most High is a life-giving spirit, and he's given authority to Messiah to be a life-giving spirit. Okay, so where am I at here? Rameses, America. But literally, America means the nation. It literally, America Hebraized means as if they were all speakers. And if you want to think that doesn't describe America, you're probably delusional. And delusion comes from too much focus and contact to lower or inner dimensions. That's why they always say, look inside yourself. It's like, no, you look outside yourself. That's where God, it's all inverted. So let's see. I'll do these ones because this is interesting etymology of toy. T-O-Y, toy. You're just a toy. All right, browse names, male names. Look how easy it is. Homeless people can do it on an Obama phone. Look at me. All right, toy. Let me go down here. Oops. Oh, there it is. Toy. Error or erroneous cause of action. Happens when you play with toys. Little dollies, little action figures, little idols. Ta means to wander about. Did I say it already? Sometimes I think these things and I forget. Ta, remember ta is to mark out a border or to basically sign your signature. Tavistock, ta, vav, ta, sk, ta, va, stock, or sh, ta, vav, sh, to divide. And then ta again, yeah. And you can put a sk at the end and make it all kinds of things, destruction, whatever. But yeah, Tavistock Institute writes a signature Vav is a peg or a hook. And then they look at their signature again. And they send for destruction. They divide. Look into what the Tavistock Institute does with the British invasion, the music, heavy metal British invasion. Heavy metal. Do you understand? So these things should be very, very obvious. So toy, wander about, Toy Story. The unsteady gait of drunkards, sheep or cattle without a herder, homeless people, foolish people. Toa means a wandering or straying from a certain path, confusion, or an error. So really, when you play with toys, it manifests all these things. Toa, a wandering or straying from a certain path, because when you stray, you literally turn on your toes. Toa. You can't make this stuff up. If you ever were into Bionicles when you were young, there was a Bionicle movie where these mechanized creature things were called Toa. Isn't that weird that they're machine and not flesh, and their name means wandering or straying from a certain path? They've become heavy metal. And that's really the Bionicle Mask of Light. It's actually a pretty good movie. It goes over all kinds of things, but it's really cheesy because they're toys. You know, they're toys that they made a movie about. But I mean, if people watch Toy Story when they're little, Bionicle movie, like, and then just Bionicle, you can do etymology stuff with that. It's probably really interesting because bio means alive, but it's like a machine. Ghost in the machine, all that. It's a toy, T-O-Y, toy. It's actually T-O-I, toy. And I thought this was interesting too. Well, I'll tell you this, just randomly in the middle of this stream, is basically the Hebrew alphabet is the cycle of life. And it repeats every year. So every 22 years, there's a cycle. Every 22 to 30 years, there's a cycle. And it's going by this, and it's describing it. And then I put it together with that 2026 stuff that I described in past videos, where in 2015, late 2015, I got this thing about 2026. That's when you got to be ready for everything, because that's when it's going to start or something like that. And then I applied 2026 to Ta. That's the mark. And I just went backwards from there. Shin, Rosh. 2024 is Rosh. Disenfranchised. Masses. The masses of disenfranchised. That should be on the top. And Venom and Gall is amassing. Shin, Sinites. Shintoism. That's Japan and China. Shinzo Abe was the prime minister that got assassinated. Father of Shinzo. And it means to sharpen. It can be sharpen your mouth, your tongue, swords, arrows, narratives. China. And then the mark. It's pretty wild. And if you just keep going back up, 2023, 2022, the Hebrew letters and what they mean seem to describe pivotal things in those years. Very strange. And there's personal things that I've discovered too that keep pointing to a certain thing. But stay on topic here. Just to prove more about these word things, I was thinking about my dog Seamus. Shah means to cry out, and mush means to drive along. Basically, when people have Siberian Huskies or whatever dogs in a sled dog team, they tell the dogs mush. You can't make this up. So this dog is always crying out all the time. He's part boxer, so boxers are known for that. So if you have a boxer, you know what I'm talking about. He's just always crying out until you cry out. Tell him to shut up, because it's like, why are you even whining? He just does it. He's weird. And then he doesn't let he knows what you're saying if you tell him to go lay down, but you can't just tell him once. He'll just keep staring at you until you start walking towards him. You literally have to drive him along. This is a dog. And you know what I named him after? I named him after a Pink Floyd song. You know what happens in the Pink Floyd song? It's a dog, a sheepdog, some kind of those hound, like greyhound type sheepdog things. I don't know what they're called. But it's being driven along to cry out every time the harmonica is played, and it howls along with the harmonica. It's a really cool song. And shamash is the word for the sun. Why? Because if you're in the sun too long, you cry out. So because of that knowledge of a sunburn, what does the sun do? It drives you along. That's why the Hebrews called it Samash. Samus is the name of the character in the Metroid game. Mat Roy is literally the soldier of the eye, or eye of the soldier, because Roy is seeing, and Mat is a man of war, or a man who's capable of defending and taking life, or Mut, death. So it's like the eye of death. It's really weird. And the woman has a suit, and she can turn into this ball that's supposed to resemble the sun. And her name is Samus. It's like, come on, man. The whole thing is Hebrew. That's why I'm gonna end up streaming that game, because I just, so much is gonna come out of it. I just couldn't do it when I originally said it because I didn't have this stuff. Now that I do, it's like so much etymology stuff's gonna come out from doing that. So I think it outweighs any bad at a video game. Because something isn't ultimately just evil. It could be utilized to good. That's the whole schism of Shem. The scant measure that is accursed wanted to hide it from everybody, and they became the purveyors of false religion. The makers, the creators of false religion, the creators of false personas, false names, hidden esoterica. Wouldn't that esoterica be in the earth? That would be the lower dimensions, wouldn't it? Exoteric is the the higher or outer dimensions, where that's closer to the most high. Very interesting. So the dog Seamus likes to lay out in the sun. He loves it. He lay out there all day. It's funny, he's a little Hamite. He's a little Hamite dog. So the Pink Floyd song is doing the same thing too. The sun sinks slowly. My old hound dog sat right down and cried. And then he plays the harmonica to drive it along to cry out while talking about the sun setting. I was in the kitchen. Seamus, my hound is outside. The dog has a solo in that song. He has a vocal solo. It's hilarious. It's a that's a weird song though. Like there's something odd about it. These people, it's manifesting out of their spirit. They don't know where this stuff comes up. They do drugs and they just write stuff. That's what Pink Floyd is. People just did drugs, but maybe they just weren't as bad as some other bands that did drugs, and they got a pure look, but it's still stained, because like the whole Wall album is about him knowing a lot of this stuff and going insane, and his lovers like taking his children away from him and stuff like that. Or it's talking about a character called Pink, and there's probably so many things I can say about it, but let me look at the chat actually, because it's okay. I'm just making sure because people actually were talking this time. Let's see, Vortex Scholar. All right, I got that. So If you wonder why I put in the description Daga manahu, because manahu is mana. What is it? Daga means to fish for or to dig. It's where we get dog from. To dig a hole is to fish for something. That's where we get the word dig. And a dog digs because he's a fisher out of things. And Daga also means to proliferate abundantly, to increase abundantly, like fish, like a multitude of fish. That's why Dagon in the ancient Philistines, it was a idol of abundance, an idol of fish, because they saw fish and grains very similar, even though it's meat and grains. It's a long thing, but so Daga, it made me start thinking. That's why I called this Rosh Shin talk. It's like Rosh 2024 Russia, we have the poor disenfranchised, the accumulating gall and venom of the disenfranchised and poor, who should be on top rather than the people who are, because if they had those riches, they would help people and make things more beneficial because they felt the lack of it. You see, it's the accumulation of all that. And then 2025 would be Shin, China, because Russia's making deals with China. China is America's boss, whether you like it or not. So Russia was like, I'm going to hold off on all this stuff. This stuff's going to be cut off so that America literally gets a gift. Put means a gift. America gets a gift to its economy. Because if Russia didn't do that, America wouldn't be where it is right now, because they got an economic boost by taking over what Russia was lacking. Remember, Putin's a very rich man. He doesn't really need money. So he's doing things for power, and he's the most Hamitic person, a white person I've seen. You look at his facial, the reason he looks like that, look at the majority of Russians. They don't look like Putin. You understand? This is why it's usurpers. This is why they're Amalekites. Russians aren't Amalekites. Romanovs and these false people, these czars, they're Amalekites. That's why it said, Amalek, you were the first Rosh of the nations, but your end shall be utter destruction. In the end, it says, Rosh, king of Meshech and Tubal. Meshech is drawn out, and Tubal is a spear. So literally, Rosh, the accumulation of venom and gall, the disenfranchised, drawn out a spear, Meshech and Tubal, it's literally like the Lord of the occupied zone or something weird like that. It's too wild. It's too much. So I don't know where I was going with that, but Daga, I'll get back to Daga here. I don't know when they started using more Russian soldiers, but at the beginning of this, a lot of what Russia was using wasn't Russian soldiers, but Dagestani. And they're Muslim. Daga, why are they called Dagestan? Because they're probably good at fishing things out, and they probably procreate a lot. How do you manage something like that? Well, you use the utility of it and make them soldiers, because they'll be able to fish something out. But also, if they're soldiers, you can quell their numbers better, especially if you're using mostly them. But then at some point, you start using more Russian soldiers. But at the beginning of it, it was mostly just the Dagestanis. And you probably just made them think that they were fighting for their religious freedom or something. That's how easy it is. So to propagate, dig, or fish out, Putin, Dagestan. So Putin is literally the brother of Egypt. Put and put means a gift. So the people of the gift, or to gift people. It depends on how you're viewing it. Let's see. There's one on here I had to leave for last. I'm going to circle it so that Something that might get censored here. Let me do this. So, what I forgot to mention about the Thoth thing is that Egyptian thought was tethered. It was a vortex type thing. It was confusion. It was chaos. Why do you think the Greek pantheon has chaos as the progenitor of everything? Because they got it from the Egyptians, because they did trade with the Egyptians. And that's why they imported. They were the progenitors of polytheism and the false religions. So I thought this was interesting. Romulus and Remus. All right. Romulus and Remus. I thought of a CD-ROM. What is a CD-ROM? A CD-ROM is a pre-programmed thing. It's a blank slate. You put a program in it. It's a CD-ROM. And I thought Remus, REM sleep. That's what made me think of REM. That's being able to dream. So literally, Romulus, the one who wanted a pre-programmed system, the Egyptian capitalism, and he killed his brother Remus, thus destroying actual vision and dream. Rapid eye movement when you're sleeping, REM. You can't make this stuff up. That's why Messiah taught on the Sabbath, because that was out of the ordinary. The Pharisees turned it into a work and working on the Sabbath. Let me skip to this. Oh, so the Hebrew thought, I think, is expanding. So the Egyptians looked into the abyss that is within to the lower dimensions, the inner dimensions. But the Hebrew thought is knowing that you're already over those dimensions because you're in the third. It's your journey to go outwards and expand. Everything's about expansion. The Most High commanded mankind to expand and fill the earth, and don't coagulate. So I'll just try to mention these. I'll do this one. So I thought this the other day, where the prophecy to Eve that the Most High said, I'll put enmity between you and the serpent. You shall crush his head, and he shall bruise your heel, the offspring of the woman. And it's prophesying Messiah. And partly Shemites too, because they crush the head by their knowledge, but it bites at the heel. So it tries to kill you, basically, bite your heel. That's the first dimension, is death. It threatens death. But you have the head, Messiah. You crush its head because you have the head, Messiah. That's the fifth dimension. And that's why Messiah is overall, because the fifth is the head. We always crush the head, but it's always gonna try to break our heel. It's gonna try to disable us or take us out, but we're always gonna crush the head. That's why we always win. And then he also taught in the Sabbath, because you're actually supposed to use that rest time to reflect on the Most High creation and scripture and knowledge and stuff like that. You weren't just supposed to laze around all day and sleep. So a Sabbath day's journey was like 0.7 miles, about a mile. So people going to listen to Messiah and be healed by him are literally using their Sabbath journey limit to choose, because you can do different things on a Sabbath journey, but they're proving that going to Messiah is worth losing that amount of mileage, because the Pharisees would always try to like bug people and be like, how, like, imagine someone walking up to you and being like, how much did you walk today? Because if it was over a mile, I swear, it's like, what? I would deck you right in the face. What? Imagine that. Just imagine that. So Mary chose the good portion, and it will not be taken. So this is what's necessary, because a lot of people think that getting money and status should be first, and that's necessary. It's like, no, all the Gentiles, or basically all the nations, we're not supposed to be a nation. True Israelites. We're not supposed to be a state. So it says that the nations worry about these things, what they'll eat, what they'll put on, how they'll be taken care of. But God takes care of the animals, so you don't have to worry about that. So what's the most important thing? It's this information. It's faith. It's how you treat people. It's how much you desire to know everything about your destiny, where you live, and who created you. So Martha was mad because Mary wasn't helping her. I've been working all day. She's not doing anything. Like, actually, she's doing more than you, because she's sitting at the feet of Messiah and learning what is. He said, Martha, your mind is occupied with too many things. Mary has chosen the good portion, and it will not be taken from her. Oh, he said one thing is necessary. So somebody can make millions of dollars, and I can have $0. I'm more wealthy and successful than them because I've decided to look for the secret of where I live, how I should treat people, and who created everything. Seek you the kingdom of the Most High, and all these things that the nations worry about will be given to you. So I just have to wait for it. You can be the CEO of whatever. I'm more successful because, and anybody watching this, any disenfranchised, any impoverished person, any homeless person with an Obama phone watching me right now can do this and have all that, all the riches and knowledge. It literally says, Paul literally says, in Messiah, the Word, exist all the riches of knowledge and wisdom. What I've been presenting is that. It's the Word. What is in the Word? All the riches of knowledge and wisdom. Because these words have morals in them. So, like toy, how do that's fifth dimensional. How do you possibly make this word toy? And then it's like, I don't know if they purposely called toys that, or if it just manifested that way. But the language itself tells you a toy isn't a good thing to have. It distracts your mind with all bunch of, you might as well be a drunkard. You might as well be a sheep or cattle without a herder. You might as well be a homeless. You might as well be a foolish people. You might as well be a wandering, straying, confusing, erroneous person if you play with toys. It's here. The language tells you how to act. So you can take I don't even. Let's keep going here. What was I? All these dimensions. Okay, this was interesting. Let me look up. Cephas. Cephas is Peter. Kepha. That's what Messiah called him, and there's a reason, and I'm going to show you right now. Let's see. We see Kepha. Kuos. Wonder if that's a coup. Anyway, don't get distracted. Cephas means stone man, man of stones, cobblestone layer. But Kep here, smooth a rounded stone. Kephas. Kapap meaning to bend or curve. Has to do with curbing your enthusiasm. It has to do with authority. And you can read through all these. It literally has to do with cop. Everything a cop does. I've gone through some of this here. And then there's something Koopa. It's coagulated fat floating in water, or the stuff at the bottom that collects at the bottom of a pot. It's like, oh, it's Koopa. Some Koopa on your face. Ugh. You got Koopa in your ears. It's funny. K-pap. Okay, so outstretched hand. Everything basically the church is supposed to do. Everything that real cops are supposed to do. But what I found interesting here is at the bottom of all this, the three names that have to do with it are Caiaphas, Kaftor, and Cephas, so Peter. Kaftor is the Cretans. Kaftor means capital, or basically Capitol Police. They were the Capitol Police. They were the Washington, D.C. Why it's its own island. Washington, D.C. is not part of America. Look it up. So Kaftor, Crete, was the Washington, D.C. of Egypt, patrolling the waters, maritime analogy law. You can get a million things out of this. And everything Cop is based off of them. The Coptic Christians are probably people of Cephas. It probably comes from to be diligently in like a probably be diligent to rebuke people and be like, because you're a cop, you know what I mean? Or they're really helpful or something. Caiaphas was the high priest in the time of Messiah. He was the father of the, pretty sure he was the father of the one that condemned Messiah. And he also prophesied that Messiah would give his life for the nation, but he didn't understand what he was saying. Because they were worried the Romans would take away their authority. You see how this works? It's the same story over and over. So Caiaphas was the false cop, a shadow government working for Egypt. They were the new Cretans. It was Hebrews and Egypt system trying to join together, because that makes the most powerful deception, is joining the two together. And that's what we have now. So Cephas, true Christians are supposed to be the cops. In other words, we hold people to a standard, and they see us as people who hold to a standard. That's what a cop is. Like all these things are very interesting. So it's like what the Cretans were to Egypt and what Caiaphas was to Egypt and Jerusalem was what Cephas is supposed to be to the world, but a renewing of it into a pure thing, a pure type of cops, a pure type of system that helps people and brings order, law and order and stuff like that. So it's very interesting, and it has to do with Stephanos. Cephas, Stephanos. Words that sound similar in the Hebrew are usually paired together too. It's wordplay because it's multidimensional. So Cephas actually has to do with Stephen also, because it sounds very similar to it. That means dimensionally it's just easier for these things to come to me, because words are helping manifest, you see. That's why it's living words. The word is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword. It literally spears through all dimensions. That's what the symbol of, I already showed what the symbol of Space Force is. It's literally the outside of the fifth dimension, seeing into it, showing that a spear is going through all dimensions, and then a little thing around it is the power that's controlling all of them, which is what the Star of Rampham represents, is the binding of all these things under the power of physical man. That's what Kabbalah is, but it's not. Obviously, you're going to fail for obvious reasons. All right, so let's see here. Why do I have Sud on there? I'm gonna make sure I get everything in here. And this is at the end anyway, so there might just be 2 parts. But something's definitely gonna happen that's crazy, because the fact that I've been getting this stuff since 2015, where I'm just like, dude, 2026, and every year that gets closer to it, something manifests. Just like I said, every year is like this Hebrew alphabet that keeps repeating itself. That's why it begins with the house of learning and producing thousands and ends with the mark, because by the time you're 22 to 30 years old, what you have accepted is going to be branded on you. So your state between 22 and 30 is even going to be eventually where you can fully decide like what you're going to be marked with, stuff like that. So let me look at the Sud root. That's probably Sadek. I don't know why I wrote this down, but I got to look at it. No. Here it is, Sud. So Sud has to do with hunters, I think. Like suddenly. Said was a great hunter. Nimar was a great hunter. Sayad. Sud is hunt or fish. Fisherman. Why did I put this in here? I gotta remember. Sayad, Masad, meaning fastness or stronghold. Oh yeah. The old president of Iran. Remember Iran. It's literally just city of man. It could be other stuff too. But Masad, the ex-president of Iran, died in a helicopter crash. Remember helicopter? And the new president supposedly voted in, just like Hamas. His last name is Mossad. And now with the whole Trump thing, they tried to like put Iran in it. There's a story that came out, they tried to like link Iran with it. I'm like, oh, okay. People need to watch what's going on. Fastness, stronghold is what Mossad means. As siege works. What happens in a siege work? What happens to people inside a city that is being besieged? Hunting. So this man is going to hunt something or somebody. Masoda, net. Literally a net. Swood. Sid meaning provision of food. Seda. Food. Sid meaning to supply oneself with food. Interesting, I talked about Toy Story because the character Sid literally just means someone who supplies himself with food. He's the average American. He's a nihilistic sociopath, borderline psychopath, or maybe psychopath that just supplies oneself with food. That's why in the later movie they made him like the garbage man, because like he doesn't care. He just make money to feed himself. It's the average American. Beseda and Sidon is what this is related to. But why did I say Sud? I mean, it says that the day of the Lord comes upon you suddenly. Oh, I was gonna end it with this. So there's 2 words together here that I want to pull up. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. I'm actually gonna do a part 3. It might be short, but I'm gonna do it on about this song. So I'm gonna do a part 3. What was I pulling up right now? Sorry, guys. Okay, I'll do this in the last one. Oh no, I'll do it at the end right now. Here we go. I'll just do it right now. No, I'll have to do it in the next one. It's too much. Okay. Let me pull up the music. I'll go live at 4. And I'll do the last part here My throat's already getting dry. And I'm gonna go over this song and certain things where what's happening right now is a pattern that keeps repeating. It's just I think this is the last iteration of it. So I'll be back. Don't sue me, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let me turn this music on, and I'll come back at 4 o'clock.